Minasan konnichiwa and welcome back to my channel. I'm Reina Scully coming to you from Japan, and today I'm going to go over another clever way to learn Japanese and meticulously introduce you to one of the best Japanese language learning apps out there called HiNative, who also graciously sponsored this video. I've worked with HiNative in the past, so I'm quite familiar with it. It is free to use with so many fun and intricate features, with the ability to upgrade to premium to really help fast track your Japanese learning journey. With HiNative, you can ask anything regarding language and native speakers will answer you. You can download the app on iOS and Android devices, and you could use it on your browser. Registering is quick and simple. After you create your username, it'll explain how to use the app and give you a tutorial on asking and answering questions so you really get a hang of it. It'll tell you exactly what to write where and show you all of the different question templates, since there are a variety of different ways you can ask questions. And finally, the tutorial will prompt you to legitimately ask a question in the how do you say this feature for other users to actually answer. I'm gonna ask, how do you say nemuke in English? And now you're ready to use HiNative on your own. By the way, nemuke means sleepiness or wanting to fall asleep. Nemuke ga suru, tsukareteru no kana? I'm feeling sleepy, I wonder if I'm tired. Now, one of the most effective ways to learn a language is to write a diary in that language. This way you'll familiarize yourself with words, sentences, and phrases that are actually used in daily life, which will make you more comfortable conversing in that language, in this case, Japanese. You'll also find that your vocabulary bank will grow exponentially because you're writing down words that are relevant to you, so you'll have a much stronger recall association. This will help move learned terminology into your long-term memory, and you'll be more likely to not only remember them properly, but also continue using them. So the best thing about this diary aspect, specifically in HiNative, is that native speakers and fellow Japanese language learners will be able to help correct your sentences so you won't keep making the same mistakes. This feature and the Does This Sound Natural features are only available to premium users, but you can upgrade your account for free for 7 days to give it a test run. Let's write one out together so I can give you an example and help give you an idea of how you can go about yours as well. It is a little daunting to put yourself out there like that. I wouldn't go into too much personal detail. I would suggest writing as simply as possible. I'm gonna write it in Japanese first and then explain it in English to you verbally. 今日は久しぶりに晴れです。Today was the first time in a while that it's sunny. 雨の日が続いてたのでどこにも行けず暇でした。It has been raining for a few days straight, so I haven't been able to go anywhere, and it's been boring. せっかくいい天気だったのでお友達とお昼を食べに行きました。Since the weather was nice, I went out to eat lunch with my friend. 二人ともラーメンが大好きなので、近所に新しくできたラーメン屋さんに行ってみました。We both love ramen, so we decided to try out a new ramen place that opened up in our neighborhood. 定番の醤油ラーメンが人気だと口コミで聞いたので、それにしてみました。We heard from word of mouth that their classic shoyu ramen is popular, so we tried that one. 本当に美味しかったです。It really was delicious. 麺は細めで、チャーシューも柔らかく、味もあっさりしてて最高でした。The noodles were on the thin side, the chashu was tender, and the flavor was light. It was wonderful. また行きたいと思います。今度は彼氏を連れてこうかな。I'd love to go again. Maybe I'll bring my boyfriend next time. 今日は久しぶりに晴れです。雨の日が続いたのでどこにも行けず暇でした。せっかくいい天気だったのでお友達とお昼を食べに行きました。二人ともラーメンが大好きなので近所に新しくできたラーメン屋さんに行ってみました。定番の醤油ラーメンが人気だと口コミで聞いたのでそれにしてみました。本当に美味しかったです。麺は細めでチャーシューも柔らかく、味もあっさりしてて最高でした。また行きたいと思います。 今度は彼氏を連れてこうかな. So I obviously came up with a random scenario for this, but I did specifically use words and phrases that I really do normally use, like talking about the weather, which is a very typical conversation starter in Japan, talking about food, describing the food that uses really specific lingo, etc. It's a good idea to keep a general list of topics that you may want to talk about and consider how you can explore expanding those topics. Like maybe you could talk about your pets, what their daily routine is like. Do they know any tricks? Are there maybe any peculiar or funny behaviors and habits that they have? Instead of forcing yourself to learn words and phrases from outdated textbooks that usually only have scenarios that are completely irrelevant to real life, it's much more practical and fun to practice Japanese by writing out what actually happens in your life. My favorite infamous sentence that was heavily taught in Japanese schools as one of your first English lessons was, "This is a pen." When would you ever use that? Why would you need to know how to say that? Why would you need to look at somebody that speaks English and go, "This is a pen"? Why? Getting back on topic, HiNative also has a fun point system where if you answer questions posed by others or if you help correct sentences for them, you'll gain points which reflect how proficient you are in that language. So everyone is incentivized to correct and teach each other. You'll see a surprising amount of very useful interactions between fellow users. And getting to interact with native Japanese speakers is so important in understanding nuance and syntax, which is generally quite difficult to decipher if you're only used to speaking West Germanic languages like English. It's unfortunately not enough to straight memorize grammatical rules and vocabulary because there is so much subtext, and you can convey an incredible amount of information just by simply tweaking how you're saying something. It's also difficult to intuitively understand hierarchy-based politeness levels, which is just the most Japanese thing ever. And even our casual speech is slightly gendered, which you would never be able to differentiate without somebody specifically explaining why kawaii na is masculine and kawaii wa is feminine. On top of that, it also depends on the speaker's personality and what they're intending to convey to you. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go into the features in HiNative that are free to use, like the how do you say this function that we went over in the tutorial. Let's do another one, but this time let's go from English to Japanese. How do you say confusion in Japanese? By the way, the answer should be kondan, kondan. I really like that there are a variety of different question formats already set up for you so you know exactly what to expect. Let's try the what does this mean feature. What does this mean? 必需品. What does 必需品 mean? Post. And the answer should be necessities. 必需品 means necessities, like your phone, things you can't live without. Now here is the what's the difference function, which I find so useful. One of the most common questions I get regarding learning Japanese is what's the difference between wa and ga? Let's actually see if anybody can answer that for us. All right. Let's see. By the way, just really simply and quickly, the difference between wa and ga is that ga points out the subject and wa specifies the topic of the sentence. Ga is also used when something novel is introduced. Meanwhile, wa is used to specify and describe something that has already been established. For example, neko ga netemasu. There is a cat that's sleeping. This is talking about a cat that hasn't been established between the listener and the speaker while also describing said novel cat. On the other hand, neko wa netemasu. The cat is sleeping. In this case, the cat is known to already exist by the listener and the speaker, and they are just simply describing said cat. This was an extremely simplified way to explain wa and ga. It's actually far more complicated than that, on top of the fact that in conversational Japanese, we actually tend to omit wa and ga entirely and end up saying stuff like, "Pi-chan ima neteru yo." No wa or ga anywhere to be heard. Moving on, there's also the please show me example sentences with section for when you're not sure about the exact usage of specific words and you need the context. And here is the pronunciation section, the please show me how to pronounce and the how's my pronunciation functions. Let's go ahead and ask how to pronounce sen, mainly because as a Japanese person, I am certain I am saying sen-eng, as in 1,000 yen, and whenever somebody says sen to me, I hear sen-eng. But my husband told me that he hears saying when I say it or when other people say it, and after he said that, I can't unhear it, so I'm really curious to know what other people have to say about this. I'm banking on the fact that Japanese speakers will say sen-eng, but I'm wondering if bilingual speakers will say it sounds like saying, but they're really saying sen-eng, which is what I'm hearing now. And remember, you can freely ask anything you want about language or the country or region in the bottom section right here. And one final thing I want to mention about HiNative is that there is no direct messaging function. All users can only communicate via questions and answers, so no one is using the app for dating or anything like that, so you can study your language comfortably and safely. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you find particularly difficult about learning Japanese. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much to HiNative for sponsoring this video. Click the link in my description to try HiNative out for yourself. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. そんじゃまったね!